Hey everybody, I want to read to you today from the introduction from my book, Braver Than I Thought. Real people, real courage, real hope. In the book, I profile a number of powerful, inspiring individuals who have endured and fought through scars, whether they be physical, emotional, mental, and they've learned how to make peace with themselves and their identities, even when those scars have been very intense and traumatic. So let me read to you the introduction from the book. You can get a sense of what it's about. When I was 11 years old, my daily paper route was an essential part of my day. Delivering the Journal-Inquirer newspaper was how I made money, and money was how I bought candy. End of story. Or is it? One spring day back in 1991, I walked up to one of the homes on my route and found a large German shepherd standing directly behind the screen door, staring penetratingly at me. Did I mention the German shepherd was large? Let me modify that statement. The dog was huge. Let me modify that modified statement. The dog was massively big. Let me modify that modified statement one more time. The dog was a giant that existed inexplicably to bring terror to my 11-year-old self. And the dog's eyes said a lot to me that morning as I stopped dead in my tracks before the screen door. What did the dog's eyes say? They said the following, precisely. I will eat you for breakfast, newspaper boy. I will, I will, I will. Even though I have already eaten my dog food breakfast, you will be my people food breakfast. And guess what? I'm thrilled by this prospect. My only dilemma is figuring out which part of you to eat first. But make no mistake about it. I am a dog. I am a hungry dog. I am a massive, giant, hungry dog. And there you are, dropping on my doorstep like a little package for my enjoyment. Ha ha ha, you unsuspecting person boy, prepare to meet the jaws of this giant dog. Hearing all of this surprisingly well-spoken dialogue from the dog that stood before me was shocking. And even though the message in the dog's eyes made me want to throw up my hands, shout like crazy, and run for my life, fear kept me planted in place. The dog and I stared at each other, locked in a gaze that neither of us could break, though I suspect for different reasons. And then I made the biggest mistake of my newspaper boy life. I held out the newspaper to the dog. What was I thinking, you ask? Good question. Here is what I was thinking precisely. Okay, giant dog of great power and stature and size, behold that I am a mere and lowly newspaper boy. I have neither fame nor fortune. In fact, I don't even have a bike that works well. Just the other day, my shoelace got caught in its rusty chain, pulling my leg down hard and giving me a big gash, which I would show you if I wasn't so afraid that the sight and smell of my dried blood would merely egg you on to want to eat me. Anyway, my point is that I don't have much right now, but I do have this newspaper. That's all. I bring no harm. I bear no weapons, nor any ill will toward you or the people who feed you and take care of you and left you here now with a dangerously easy way to eat me if you decided to. So I offer to you all that I have in this great big world right here, right now, a newspaper. I offer it to you as a sign of peace, reconciliation, and hope that the two of us can become good friends, that we might see one another with a spark of camaraderie and kindness, perchance even affection, and that one day, crash, bang, bam, leap, lurch, lunge, bite, while my own logical and quite mature thoughts were running. Giant dog leaped through the screen door, smashing it wide open, and tackled me. His excessively long fangs sunk straight into my left inner thigh, mere millimeters from from something that would have been even more excruciatingly painful than my left inner thigh. I howled in pain. Looking down at my leg, giant dog's teeth were still firmly inside of it, and for that brief moment, I honestly thought I was going to die. But the voice of an angel, or maybe of the beast's owner, saved me. And the dog suddenly released my leg from his fangs just as suddenly as he had leaped to grab hold of it. As giant dog backed slowly away from me, I looked down at my leg in disbelief as I watched blood spurt out of me. Then the pain hit me, bone deep. The next thing I knew, I was lying on a medical table with one of those sheets of paper underneath me. I remember the crinkly sound it made as I shifted to figure out what was going on and thinking about whether Giant Dog was anywhere nearby to come for my other leg. He was not. I was safe. But needles and stitches would ensue, as well as embarrassment that the doctor who sewed me up was seeing me naked and bloody on butcher paper. The stitches eventually came out, the wound healed, and now the only thing that remains of that experience is the scar and the story. As I look back all these years later, I know that my scar story taught me a lot of things. First, it taught me to be wary of giant dogs left behind screen doors with dangerous paths to newspaper boys. This is the title of a to-be-written book where I will share in much greater detail how to protect against such danger. Second, it taught me that a lifelong burden of fear is too high a price to pay. Yes, I went through many years where I was terrified of dogs. Every dog except the toy poodle we had as our own family pet. But then I slowly learned to see dogs as potential friends again, and even began to greet dogs that I'd come across in the world. Though to be honest, not those that stare at me from behind screens. I'm still terrified of those. Essentially, the experience of my dog attack gave me an opportunity to learn to be brave with each new dog I met. Third, it taught me that this world is full of wonderful people who are ready to help when they see suffering or pain or hurt. There was my friend Matt, who was visiting for the day and accompanied me on my route, who went and got my mom after I was bit. There was then my mom, who raced to Giant Dog's house in her minivan and then rushed me to the walk-in clinic. There was the doctor who stitched up my leg. While there is so much pain and hurt all around us, there are still many who help, who seek to provide care and comfort when they see pain. Fourth, it helped me build resiliency. It taught me that even though skin and soul can appear fragile, they are also strong. They can be healed after trauma. They can regrow and reform after hurt. And finally, fifth, my scar story helps me connect with other people walking this world who have their own scar stories to tell too, like you. Chances are, as you read my story, you might have started thinking of your own. And chances are, you probably have one or two or hundreds to tell. Some might be funny, some might be sad, some might be deeply hurtful, and some might still deeply hurt. Some might have healed. You are not alone in the wounds you carry, whether on the outside or on the inside. And one of the hard truths of life is that not one of us gets through it without bearing some scars that mark our journeys. Knowing that others have faced and continue to face the kinds of struggles that we have, and knowing that we are not alone in the marks that can result, can become one of the paths by which we heal. By seeing that we all have scar stories, we open the door to heal and recognize that in the place of shame, we can create empowerment. In the place of fear, we can create hope. And in the place of letting our scars own or define us, we can emerge stronger after our battles than before them. The people in this volume do and did just that. They all endure challenges of many kinds, and each has been left with a scar from the battle they faced. Sometimes these scars are highly visible on the outside, and sometimes these scars appear invisible to any onlooker, but they're deeply painful and traumatic on the inside. However, none of these people allowed their scars to define them. They grew and healed and moved forward with dedicated purpose and remarkable hope that inspires me and many others immeasurably. The people profiled in this book, from Queen Latifah to Chadwick Boseman, turned their traumatic scars quite powerfully into marks of courage. The trauma and the tragedy and the wounds that these people faced posed immeasurable challenges, but in each case, bravery prevailed. My hope is that these stories of their wounds and healing will also inspire you, and that you will see too that you are never alone. No matter what scars you have and what battles you face, you are braver than you think. So that's the introduction to Braver Than I Thought, and I hope you enjoy it. I hope you can draw strength from some of the stories within, and much peace and courage to each of you.